Hello and welcome to Sunday's edition of Kraken the Cryptic, where we have a debut on the channel today for the constructor SamuPiano and their puzzle Global Ocean, which the eagle-eyed amongst you will immediately spot has some strange numbering to these cages, including in particular this cage, which numbers 170. And there's a 4-cell 8 cage I can see, and a 4-cell 9 cage. There's all sorts of weirdities going on in this one. I have read the rules before I turned on the webcam. And this is, I do understand how there could be a 170 cage, but I don't really have any ideas about how to go about solving this yet. I did look it up on Logic Masters Germany as well. It has a 100% approval rating with some very nice comments, and we've had it recommended a couple of times actually, so I'm sure it's going to be good fun, assuming we can solve it. Of course, I think it's 4 stars out of 5, so there is a hope. Now, what big news do I have for you today? I do have some huge news I wanted to share with you, and this relates to the Discord server. Now, I know many of you will be very familiar with the Discord server. If you're not, do join it. It just involves clicking a link in the video description. It's completely free, and it is I think it must be the biggest puzzling community on the planet. I want to say there are over 30,000 members of the Discord server, but they have just reached the incredible milestone, and this is genuinely incredible. 10,000 puzzles have now been published and archived on the server. 10,000! That is a lot of puzzles. And to celebrate this, the Discord server tends to celebrate every time they click over 1,000. So I remember there was a 5,000 pack, and I think there's been 6, 7, and 8,000 packs at least, probably a 9,000 pack as well. But this is the 10,000 pack of puzzles, 100 puzzles set by, I think, over 24 members of the CTC community. I think only a third of the puzzles are actually SUDOKU. And big props to Lavaloid, who I think captained the effort on creating this pack. But some of the puzzles, Rockrat0 kindly wrote to me overnight and pointed out that this had actually been released and included a couple of screenshots of some of the puzzles in this. I'm going to share with you a couple of these screenshots because they are absolutely amazing. Watch this. Now, you may look at that and think that looks like a very, oh, hang on. I'm going to make it come back. Don't worry. I'm just trying to make that. What's going on? Why does my technical knowledge always defeat me? Let's zoom that in. You may look at that and think that looks like some sort of embroidered picture. It is not. That is an Akari puzzle, believe it or not. And if you look very closely, you can see in each of these black cells there is a number. So Bence Jofel has come up with an enormous... is that... Oh, I see, it's going to be 100 by 100, isn't it? Yeah, okay, that's why. That's going to give the requisite 10k squares, isn't it? Which is... What a fabulous idea. Yes, my mind is truly blown. So it says, congratulations, Kraken the Cryptic community, on 10,000 puzzles. Absolutely right. Now, I've got one more to share with you, which is sort of just as astonishing. This is Fill These crossword. That is a crossword. That is a 100 by 100 grid. So what was it Rockrat0 wrote to me? Something like, imagine the words, does anyone have a clue about 1,247 across? Well, actually, I do. I looked up that clue. I think the answer's good taste. Bit of a spoiler there. But if you do get that far down into the bottom right-hand corner of this puzzle, well done you, because that is going to be some effort. I've obviously set quite a few crosswords in my life, and the thought... I do recognise the amount of effort that has gone into creating this. This is going to have taken Phil a long time. So anyway, that's just 2 of these fantastic puzzles. They're all themed on 10k. What an absolute! It's an amazing thing. It's free to download. Just so you know, it's in the channel on the Discord server called something like Discord Puzzle Archive. So that's where you'll find it. It took me a couple of minutes to find it earlier. So if you want to download it quickly, that is the way to find it. Now, what else can I tell you? I've got a few birthdays to do today, actually. More than usual. I don't know why. What date is it? 16th of July. I don't know why. I should look at the date and think, I wonder why lots of puzzling people were born in and around this date. And so a few birthdays for tomorrow as well. So I'll start with Jessie. I know it's your birthday tomorrow. I know this because Cara wrote to us. And apparently you watch daily. So have a great day tomorrow, Jessie, with chocolate cake. Ashley, it's your birthday tomorrow. And I know this because your partner Travis wrote to us. And Travis included the rather lovely line in his email saying, despite being virtual figures, you feel like Kraken the Cryptic is the folk of Kraken the Cryptic are members of your household, which was lovely to hear. Ben, it's your birthday. I think, Ben, it might be your birthday today, actually. And I know this because your friend Moodit wrote to us, and Ben introduced Moodit to the channel. So well done, Ben, on spreading the word. Ben and Moodit, I think, are over in America. Carl turns the big 4-0 tomorrow. Sorry about that, Carl. I know this because your brother-in-law Andreas wrote to us, and I understand that Andreas has made you a present for tomorrow, Carl, which I am very impressed by, so I hope you enjoy it. And then Clara, which is almost an anagram of Carl. Your boyfriend Jonathan wrote to us and said that the two of you watch Kraken the Cryptic over dinner. Well, that's very civilised indeed. And you could even finish that dinner with some chocolate cake. So, Clara, happy birthday. I think your birthday is today. Shell watches every day, turns 39 today. So, happy birthday, Shell. And then finally, an amazing one, this. Heather, Holly and Hope are triplets who all turn the big 5-0 today. Now, I think Heather and Holly who are identical, watch the channel, but Hope, who is fraternal, which I think in the context of twins and triplets means not identical. Hope doesn't watch the channel. Well, Hope, you've got to get into it. Your two sisters watch it. But amusingly, I had emails from both Heather and Holly, each wishing their identical twin a very happy birthday. So I wish Heather, Holly and Hope all birthday wishes, but I suspect only Heather and Holly will hear this message. And I have to say it in the order Heather, Holly and Hope. Apparently that's very important. And I did. So that's the birthdays done. Nothing really else to mention. We've got Patreon going on. Oh, actually it is closing in on the 20th. So if you want to have a go, and you should have a go at Kraken the Cryptic, it's very good. 6 puzzles over there on Patreon right now, themed on Krakens, and jolly tentacular it is too. And yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's definitely achievable if you start now, and you've got 4 days to do it, no problem at all. But now let's turn our attention back to Global Ocean by SamuPiano. Is that a portmanteau of Samuel and piano? I don't know, but SamuPiano. I'm not sure which it should be. I apologise if I'm saying it wrong. But these are the rules of this rather remarkably unusual puzzle. So the rules start. This is a 9x9 map of the ocean. There are ocean cells and island cells. Now, I'm jolly tempted, therefore, to make the island cells blue and the ocean cells something else, just to annoy some of you. But no, I won't do that. Normal Sudoku rules apply, so the numbers or the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, in every column, and every 3x3 box. Digits in cages must sum to the small clue in the top left corner of the cage. Well, that seems impossible at first blush, doesn't it? And digits cannot repeat within a cage with 9 or fewer cells. So that is telling us, I think that's telling us that normal killer Sudoku rules apply to everything except this 170 cage, which has clearly got more than 9 cells in it. And therefore this cage can have repeated digits. But I think all the other cages, I might be wrong, I might be not spotting one of them, but I think all the other cages probably have fewer than 9 cells, and therefore can't have repeated digits in them. Cells separated by an X must contain digits summing to 10. We've only got one of those, I think, and it says not all X's are given. The reason that's there is in case you find, let's imagine those two squares added to 10. You might think, why isn't there an X? Well, there doesn't have to be an X. It's just that we know positive information about this domino. That definitely does add up to 10. And then there's a big however. 18 cells, 2 in each box, row and column, are island cells. These do not count toward the cage totals. Only ocean cells count towards cage totals. There can be as many island cells as needed in any cage. So, I mean, that immediately explains to me, for example, how you could have a 4-cell 8 cage, because one of the cells in here could not count, and we can make 3 different numbers in Sudoku add up to 8 with something like 1, 3, 4. So, right, and there's 2 island cells in each box, 2 in each row, 2 in each column, so 18 in all. And that's the rules, so do have a go. This is meant to be a wonderful puzzle. The way to play is to click the link under the video. I shall reposition myself on my chair and say, let's get cracking. Now, right, I think what we should do first, I can see something about this cage. I don't know if this is where I'm meant to start, but it seems like a place where I can actually do something. This cage here can't contain any islands, can it? Because if one of the cells was an island, the other cell, the counting cell contributing towards the 10 total, would have to be a 10. And there are no 10s in this puzzle, so both of those squares are C, I think. Actually, yesterday's puzzle I did blue and orange shading, and I guess that's what I'm going to do today, because I should only need 2 colours. I'm going to have a colour for island, which will be orange, and a colour for C, which will be blue. Right, the same thing, actually. Look, oh, well, I can do better than that. That's not only C, that is a 7-9 pair, because there is only one way of making 16 in a domino. Now, I mean, right, so there are some cages that are clearly bogus here. This 9 cage, the triangular number for 4 is 10. So what's 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4? Well, it's 10. So if all of these cells didn't include an island, then this cage would be impossible. So there is definitely an island cell in there. There's definitely an island cell in there. There's definitely an island cell in there. 32, no, that's fine. 32 in 7 cells doesn't need an island. I suppose maybe it's just worth mentioning there is a secret of Sudoku, which might help. Certainly that's how I can instantly judge that cage. So I will share it with you. I share it with my favourite people. If you're still with me 13 minutes into this video, of course you're one of my favourite people. Now the secret is that any complete row, any complete column and any complete box of a Sudoku contains the digits 1 to 9 once each because of the rules of Sudoku, and those digits add up to 45. So 45 is the secret, and so we can always think about that in terms of nine different digits. 9 different digits add to 45. Now this cage has 7 different digits in it, so if they all counted, if there were no island cells, is that possible? And the way to think about that is, well, it's missing 2 digits, isn't it, this cage, from the maximum number of digits it could have. And those 2 digits would have to sum up to 45 minus 32, which is 13. Well, that's very possible. To make 2 digits in Sudoku add up to 13 could be 4, 9, 5, 8, or 6, 7. So there is no problem with this cage not having an island cell in it. 36 in 7 is exactly the same. It's missing 2 digits that sum to 9, assuming every digit counts. That's just going to be the same. Oh, no, hang on. No, that's 6 cells adding. Well, 6 cells adding to 30 implies there are 3 cells missing that add up to 15 if everything's counting, and that's possible. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cells adding up to 25, 3 cells missing adding up to 20. No, 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 that's not fair. Okay, this cage it's going to be the 170 cage, isn't it? But I am just eliminating these others. The 21 here, well, the triangular number for 6, which is how many cells there are in this cage, is 21. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 is 21. So this doesn't have to have island cells in it. Right, which unfortunately raises the daunting prospect of trying to understand how this 170 cage works. Now, how many, I mean, this is a lot of cells. I mean, those cells, oh, hang on, that's weird, isn't it? Right, so I was just thinking those cells add up to 45, and that's true, but 2 of these must be island cells because every box, I think, has to contain 2 island cells. 2 in each box, yes, so 2 of those don't count. 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times 80. Okay, I mean, this is clearly going to be close to a maximum, I think. This 170. And the way I got that was I noticed that it has a number of cells in 5 different boxes. So I took the 4 highest numbers in Sudoku, 9, 8, 7, and 6. That's 30. Multiplied it by 5, and I got 150, which is still less than 170. So that sort of suggests that we've got to be we've got to be taking quite big numbers from all of these boxes. So let's actually explore that. What is the absolute maximum we could make this 170 add up to? So let's start here. So we could have in here the island cells covering a 1 and a 2, and that would mean 42 of this box would count. So that would be 42. Now in this box you could have 6, 7, 8, and 9, couldn't you? I don't see why you couldn't have the island cells in this part of the world. So all of those could count. That would give us 30. So now we're up to 72, and we've done these cells. Let's make that a 9. So now we're at 81. Now, can we make those 5, 6? No. Ooh, that's interesting, actually. Yeah, never talk to me at parties. Right, that can't be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for a weird reason, which is that if it was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you couldn't fill that 10 cage, because that 10 cage must have a 6, 7, 8 or a 9 in it, because it can't be double 5, obviously. So actually, if we hide 4 and 6 in there, that's going to allow us to keep 9, 8, 7 in here, isn't it? So this could be 9, 8, 7, 5, 3, I think, which is 32. Is that 32? 9, 8, 7 is 24 plus 8, 32, yeah. And what did we have over here? Was it 81? I should be more diligent about this. So we're on 113 at the moment. Gosh, if this gets anywhere close to 170, I'm probably going to have to do all this maths again. Let's put 113 over here in the hope that I haven't messed up any maths. Now, what's going on in this box then? Right, well, the 10 cage here can't have 2 islands in it, because it's similar to this. We need 2 digits to add up to 10. So I could hide 1 island in here, and I could have 1 cell in this part of the grid that was an island, and therefore so actually, how do I think about what's the cleanest way to think about this? if we had, if the digits that we're not counting were one, so say those squares were a 1-2 pair, and they were the islands, which are orange, aren't they? These add up to 10. That's going to give me 13, so I get 32 more in the counting cells. I'm not sure whether there's a better way of doing that. Let's assume that's okay. So that's going to give us 145 now. But we've still got this, so it's still going to have to be fairly hefty. Oh, and we can't put 7 or 9 in this. This is huge. This is huge. Right. Yes, okay. So I can also island both of those, because I can still make 9 in a domino. So if I islanded both of these, all of these would count, which is probably actually not what I want. So let's minimize these. That would be 1-2 pair plus 16. So we are 19. We've got to have 26 here. So 26 is the maximum. Oh, I don't believe it. That's so close. 171. Assuming all my maths is correct, 171. Right, let me think about that. 171. Let's just get rid of yellow. And I'm sorry, I am going to just spend a moment or two mulling that over. The other thing I'm going to do is briefly check that I agree with each of my individual totals. 9 here, obviously. So if that was 9, and I make that 6, 7, 8, and 9 all counting, those two squares are both 9, aren't they? It doesn't matter. This box is so flexible. 42 here, that seems right. This was the box I was slightly worried about. Was there a way that I could limit this further? I've got to have 2 digits in there adding to 10. That's clearly true. And the third digit, if I'm trying to maximize these squares, the non-counting island, there must be a non-counting island in here. And there must be that means there's one non-counting island in there to minimize or to maximize the digits in here that count. I'm just nervous that if I put 1 and 2 in the non-counting cells, then this is either 3, 7 or 4, 6, isn't it? But it doesn't matter. Yeah, okay, we're still going to have 9, 8 in here, 3, 7 or 4, 6 depending on what's not used, and 5. Okay, so so I don't think I can improve upon this. So what was my conclusion from that? 10 plus 3, 13. 45 minus 13 is 32, so 32 does feel right. I think that's what I got last time. Now here, well, that's simpler maths, that's 26, I get that. Now could I have improved upon this at all? No. No, I couldn't. Right, so we're very close. I mean, this digit, okay, because what? So the conclusion that we can draw from those shenanigans we've just been performing, that sort of mental arithmetic, is that if I max out everything, I can get 171. So there is 1 degree of freedom in the 170 cage. So this has to be 8 or 9. This could add up to 29, so it could be 5, 7, 8, 9, but it can't be, but it's either 5, 7, 8, 9 or it's 6, 7, 8, 9, so it does have 8 and 9 in it, so that this square and this square are the same. That is true. I don't know if we need to and of course the other thing that this proves is that these all count. They must all count because none of them can possibly be left out and still get us to the 170 hurdle rate. So these are all counting digits. Now in this box that's going to be so annoying because I know that the digits in here that are missed out are either 1, 2 or 1, 3. But I have no idea where they go, I don't think. I know one of these is definitely missed out. And one of these is definitely missed out. Yeah, I needed to get to 32 here, so I am going to have to count at least 5 of those digits. And I can't count 6 of them, because that would put two islands in the 10 cage. Ah, okay, so I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to allocate sea or island to this one. Ah, now in this one... Oh, I've got something in my eye. Ah, well, how did that... Ah, that's bad. I don't think that's ever happened on the channel before. Okay, it seems to have cleared. Right, okay, so what do we know from this one? I needed this. I was thinking I could put 2 island cells here, and then these squares would add up to 19. So I know these add up to... no, 26, wasn't it? 26. So these add up to 26 or 25. And they must include 8, 6, 5. So they could include 8, 6, 5, 4, 2, couldn't they? If this was a 1-3 pair, that would still enable the world to work. But I don't think it's possible for us to miss out a whole digit here. If we missed out a whole digit, then we'd have 8, 6, 5, which is 19. And we need to get to at least 25. And we can't do it with one more cell. So these are definitely islands. That's what we've just... And these are all counting, which is quite interesting. And these squares are either 1, 2 or 1, 3. So this is getting very cool now. Because surely... Well, oh no, I was about to say that means these 2 count, but it doesn't at all. Because the rules say that I could have loads of island cells in here. So I could have a solitary 9 in here with a 3rd island. This is ridiculous. Okay, now what about this then? Was I able to conclude those 2 had to be island? I think I was. I made this, I think in the calculation, I made this 32, didn't I? Which was maxing it out. So I could make it 31, which is still 5 cells counting. So yes, all of those count. And therefore those are definitely island. And that's an island cell in the 32. Oh, okay, so this one is not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 anymore. How do we do this? Can we conclude anything about this? It depends what this is, doesn't it? Oh no, hang on. Right, so this digit, whatever it is, doesn't appear anywhere in this cage in the counting digits. That didn't count. Yeah, I know these squares add up to 30 or 29, so they've definitely got 7, 8 and 9 in them. So the maximum I could... If this doesn't count, the maximum these could be would be a 6, 4, 3, 2, which is 15. That's not 21. Right. So I think this counts towards the 21 cage, for what that's worth. If I miss out... So maybe I can prove this is an island by the same logic. Now this square can go in one of those. So that could be high, couldn't it? I made this 9 in my max out version. But this could in theory be 9, I think. If I put 2 islands in here, I made this 9. No, because the maximum... Okay, I think this is an island. Because if I put 2 islands... I'm thinking about this box. I need to put 2 islands in it. If I put them both in the 21 cage, the maximum digits that would be counting towards the 21 total here would be a 6, assuming I don't use a 6 here, and a 4. So 6 and 4 is 10. Plus whatever that is, but it can't be an 11, can it? So there is 1 island in here, in box 6, and that's an island. But I keep thinking that's limiting how many islands I can have in the cages, but it's not. It doesn't work like that. But look, I've got 2 islands now in row 4. So all of those have to be counting. That feels like it's important. So in this box, I've got to have, I know one of these is counting. If this one was an island, there would be 2 non-counting digits in here. That's fine though, isn't it? It's fine. In fact, it's more. There's 2 islands in these squares, and then the other cells add up to 17. So 4 cells here add up to 17, which is, but they, so if this was maxed out, the minimum size of this is 11. No, okay. I am getting stuck now. What do I do? Okay, where do I look? I thought that was going to be more important than I think it is. I can't see how to allocate things into this one. I know that I've got 1 degree of freedom, so maybe I can... Oh, sorry, my brain isn't working here. There's definitely stuff we can do. I think there's more stuff I can do with this 170 cage. I just have to suck it up and work out what it is. I've got a maxed out value all but. I mean, the amazing thing would be if you could work out, you know, if you worked out that was a 1-3 pair. So this couldn't be maxed. Then you'd get max everywhere. You'd know exactly what was missing here. There would be a 1-2 pair in islands. Still wouldn't really... Oh, those 2. Right, look, sorry. There's something I haven't seen. 2 islands in this row. So all of this turns blue. So... sort of... It's a strange pattern emerging. One of those squares is an island, and whichever one it is going to complete the islands for one of these columns. And that's going to cause bluification in the top of the grid. Oh, maybe the 21 cage again. Let's just check this. So we've got... I know I've got 1 more digit to come out of the 21 cage. So the maximum size of the digits that can count in the 21 cage is going to be a 6, assuming this is 29, not 30. 6, 4, 3. 6, 4 and 3 is 13. So this has to be at least... that's got to be at least an 8. It's got to be at least an 8, because the maximum I can get into the cage here is 13 counting digits. Now I've got an 8-9 pair here and an 8-9 pair here. Doesn't affect the 9 cage. I suppose it... No, it doesn't affect the 9 cage at all. So perhaps... Oh, I don't know. I don't know what that does. It's 25 cage. Is that under any pressure? It's got to have... Can I make that? If I make those both island, maybe that's an interesting thought. If these are both islands, this has to be a 6, 7, 8, 9 quadruple. Which would be very powerful, actually. That would be an 8, 9. That would be a 6, 7. Seven, 6, 5. Oh, that's so weird. Okay, that's so peculiar to me. But this is actually forced. Why can't I just immediately see that? There's something, yeah. I don't know. I don't know why. That's annoyed me. But look, actually all 5 of those digits count. I hadn't realised this. But once this is an 8-9 pair, how do I get to 25? And weirdly, the maximum I could have in here would be a 7, 6, 5, 4, 3 quintuple. And that's it, isn't it? Because the triangular number for 7 is 28. So miss out a 1 and a 2, you get 25, which is what we need. So this is a 1-2 pair, and it's not counting. And that's going to do absolutely wonderful things, I think, because now all these have to count. Oh, Maverick's just taken off. Maverick's a bit slow off the mark today. Okay, this is exactly what we said. If these are island, the only way we can make 30 is with a very specific set of digits. So we're doing okay here. We are doing okay. This has to be 6, 7. This has to be 8, 9. Now, I think I was saying that those squares had to include a lot of stuff. Like, I think we were thinking along the lines of this being a 4, 6 pair, weren't we? So we certainly have to have 8 and 9 in here. Which means there's an 8 and a 9 in here, I think. Let's put that in case that's going to be important. Which means there's an 8 and a 9. So the 9 in box 8 is getting restricted. These squares are 1 and 2 are in these squares. That could be important. And I've got oh yeah, look. Okay, so in this box now, where are the 2 non-counting cells? They're not here, because that would put 3 non-counters in column 4, so that's a non-counter. Yeah, but that could be a non-counter, and then you'd have 2 non-counters in the 9 cage, which is quite plausible, isn't it? 2 digits adding to 9. If this is a non-counter, one of these is a non-counter. 36, there we go. 36. Is that possible in 5 counting cells? No, it's not, because 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 only add up to 35. So that is a counting cell. Now in this column it's getting quite difficult, isn't it? We've almost done this. When I say done it, I mean that's in the loosest. I've almost managed to figure out where these non-counting islands go. Oh. I think there's a non-counting 1 in this box somewhere. Because if the 1 counted towards the 21 cage, then the maximum we could put into the 21 cage here would be 164, which is 11, and 11 plus 9 isn't 21, it's only 20. So there's a non-counting 1 somewhere in those 4 squares. So there is a 1 in one of these squares. Now, can the 1 be counting in this box? I don't think so, because that would mean the maximum island squares would be 2 and 3. And I was banking, which is 5, and I was banking on the island squares in this box adding up to 3. So, and I've only got 1 degree of freedom, so that square is not the 1. I think, yeah, another way of putting that is the 1 is non-counting in this box, and we now know it's in one of these. Oh, no, we don't. We know exactly. Well, it's down there somewhere. I've just realised I've got 7 counting cells in column 9. Oh, so this is going to be important, isn't it? So now all of these have to be blue, which means the second non-counter here is there, which finishes off box 6. We are cooking with gas nearly. I know there's 1 non-counter here. Oh, I see. Okay, look, there's 1 non-counter here. So the rest of this column is blue, but there's 1 non-counter in those cells in box 8, so it's there, which means this is now blue, because we've got 2 non-counters here, we've got 2 non-counters here, so this is blue, therefore that's got to be a non-counter. And what do we know? We know these squares are either 1, 2 or 1, 3, don't we? Because we had 1 degree of freedom. I was banking on them being 1, 2, but they could be 1, 3, I think. They probably have to include 1. Well, they do. So 1 is in one of these 2 cells, which means 1 is in one of those 3 squares. If these squares didn't include 1, that would also be a problem. Because I think I banked on this being a 1, 2 pair. And again, making it 2, 3 just forces it up too high for this 170 cage again. So there's definitely a 1 in here, which means this is not a 1, 8 pair. These squares are a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quintuple. There's, right, here's something. Here is something. One of these squares is orange. And that's very interesting. Sorry, but it is. Because that, if we count the number of cells, or number of counting cells there must be in this 32 cage, it must have at least 5 counting digits, because if it only had 4 counting digits, it would be 9, 8, 7, 6, which is only 30. So there are 5 counting digits, but one of these is non-counting, and this is non-counting. So both of those must be counting, which means there are 2 non-countings here in box 1, which means that must be counting, which means this is not counting. And 2 of these are non-counting. So this 9 cage is made up of 2 digits now that count. Now, how do we finish this off now? I think we've almost built our archipelago, haven't we? It's so annoying. I keep wanting to say, there can't be any more non-counting cells here, because I've already got 2 in the cage, but that's not how the rules work. Also, it's quite interesting. It looks like I keep getting 1s and 2s. Oh, I've had a horrible thought. Oh no. Okay, I've just had a bad thought. Oh no. All right, I've missed something here. I missed something very obvious. I got obsessed with this 170 cage. But actually, every single cage in this puzzle has a total. So right, this is a global. Right, I can work out something here. So what I'm thinking is, if I add up all of the cage totals, all of them, including obviously the 170, but all the others as well, I'm going to get a number. Now, I know that a whole Sudoku grid, because it's each box, because of the secret, each box adds to 45. There are 9 boxes. 9 times 45 is 405. So the cages in this puzzle, if there weren't islands, would add up to 405. So the difference between the actual sum of the cage totals and 405 is going to give me the value of the islands, which I now suspect is going to be... what's it going to be? It's going to be 27, isn't it? Because imagine if we get 27 for the island cells, then we know it's a 1-2 pair in every box, and that's going to have been the break-in. Bobbin's face. Right, so we're going to have to do some mathematics here. It's not going to be very pleasant mathematics, actually, because there's a lot of stuff to add up. I'm trying to see if there's an easy way to start this. Well, should we start there? That gets us to 206, 231, 261, 293, 293, 302, 319, 329. What have we not used? 329, 339, 339, 355, and I've not used that 21 either. So 376. Now, is there anything else I've not used here? 376 isn't enough, is it? 20. That's 29. Oh, no, it's not. It's not enough. That doesn't get us 27. Oh, well, I'm pleased, actually. I'm actually pleased about that. In a weird way. Maybe that's not the... Maybe this is not what I was meant to do. Yeah, okay, so assuming 376 is right... Maybe I should double check that, actually. It's the sort of thing that I'm 200. So 225, 246, 246, 282. 376. 376. Okay. So I've got that twice now. So if that's right, then all of the island cells add up to, I think, 29. Now 29 and 27 are not the same numbers. It does mean there's not that... We can't put massive digits into these island cells anywhere. Because if we put 1 and 2 into all the island cells, we get 27. We're meant to get to 29. So we can slightly increase 1 or 2 of them. The maximum digit we could have in would be a 4. Nothing bigger than a 4 can go in an island cell. Nothing bigger than a 4 can go in an island cell. And some of the islands are fixed because of the cage totals anyway. But 2 of them, well, either one of them jumps by 2, or 2 of them jump by 1. Now I'm getting confused in a different way. I'm sort of trying to marry up that with what we know about the 170 cage, which has 1 degree of freedom. That can't be a 1, can it? Because then I couldn't make those 4 other cells add up to 31. That's not 1. Ah, okay. So 1 is in one of these squares, 1 is in one of these squares, 1 is in the 9 cage. 2 of these cells are non-counting. But now this is annoying. Yeah, this is horrible, because now you could have a situation where rather than having a 1 and a 2 not counting here, the 1 counts and you have a 2 and a 3 not counting, so your minimum goes up from 1 and 2 not counting to 2 and 3 not counting, and that's allowed. So we can't say in this box that the 1 doesn't count. The 1 might count, and if it did count, that we know that's counting. So this would be an 8. Which is absolutely possible. Yeah, and that means I can't assume, for example, that it's the same logic. I can't assume they include 1. I think I didn't I work out though? Yeah, I did work out there was a 1 in one of those 2 squares in box 6 though. I remember doing that. Hang on. There's something going on there. These are too low. Right, there's 2 non-counting cells. Hang on. Oh, this could be it. There's 2 non-counting cells in here. But the counting cells add up to 17. And the non-counting cells could only add up to a maximum of 5, couldn't they? Because in my minimum world, I was saying there would be a non-counting 1 and 2 in there. And we know that we can increase that minimum of 3 to a maximum of 5. So these 6 cells have a maximum value of 17, which is the counting cells in them, plus 5, which is 22. But they have a minimum value of 21 if they were 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6. So this definitely uses up at least 1 of the degrees of freedom, which means everywhere else I can only go up by 1 from the minimum. Now that means there is a non-counting 1 back in my 9 cage here. Because if there wasn't, the minimum would go up from, say, 1, 2 to 2, 3, and that's too much. Because I'm definitely using at least 1 degree of freedom here. So in fact, don't I know the value of these squares quite? These are quite massive, I think. Because what we're saying is, in a very complicated way, these 6 cells that I've just highlighted there, those 6 cells, either sum to 21 exactly if there is a non-counting 1 and 3 in those squares. Now if these were 21 exactly, those would be 24 exactly by the secret, and they would be 7, 8, 9. So these are either 7, 8, 9 or 6, 8, 9, depending on whether this has a non-counting, well, depending on whether this sums to 21 or 22. That's the only things it can. There's definitely 8 and 9 in here, which means this isn't 8 or 9. Which means this isn't 8 or 9. That seems to say there's an 8-9 pair here. I think that was fair, wasn't it? How did I arrive at the fact there's an 8-9 in here? I think what we did was we said this is the least it could be, which was a 4-6 pair. And then we said that could be 9, 8, 7, 5, 3, which is 32. Yeah, so if we throw out, so this has to be 32 or 31 because of the 170 situation. And if this was, if we knock out a 9, there's simply no way you can get to those sorts of numbers. This Okay, we now know these are either 1, 2 or 1, 3, don't we? There is now 1 in these, because there's only 1 degree of freedom from the bare minimum for the islands. So in fact, I might as well put 1, 2 and 3 into these squares. I might as well do the same here. I might as well do the same here. Right, so this is from 1, 2 and 3 as well, and definitely includes a 1. Have we got any 1, 2, 3 triples emerging? I bet we do somewhere. If that's a 2, that would use up the other degree of freedom. That would be a 1, 3 pair, and providing that would tell us these were adding up to 21. This would be a 7, 8, 9 triple. One in every box is non-counting. That's now proven, I think. Is that still true here, actually? Actually, I'm not sure. This might be the one box that's not true for. Yeah, it's not true here. One could be counting here with a 2, 3 none counting, using up all the degrees of freedom. This is very complicated. I think we're nearly there. I just have to have one more intelligent insight, I think. 9, 7, 6, 31. I'm not sure. I'm not now even sure I trust this 9, 8 pair. It feels right, but imagine this was 2, 8. Then this could be 10. If this was 2, 8, that would be 14. This would be 31, and I think I needed this to be 31 or 32. Or was that another of the boxes that had to be that? I can't remember now. 6, 4, 9, 8, 7, 5, 3 was 32. I don't like that deduction. I'm not sure I'm right about that. I think I might be able to hide a digit here, and it's not going to make a difference. I can. Sorry. Yeah, that's bad logic. Bad logic. I mean, 9 has to be in here. That is true, because 1 has to be in here. But I think earlier on I asserted that 9 had to be in that cage. I'm not even sure at that point that I did that. That was true, because that could have been 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, couldn't it? 8, 7, 6. No, that wouldn't be enough. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4 is 30. I think I did need this to add up to 32 or 31. Okay, so maybe at that point 9 was in here, but I'm not sure 8 has to be. So 9 is in those squares. I know these include 8 and 9. So there are 2 non-countings here. The other thing that is fishy to me is that all of those digits together don't feel like they add up to enough. Because 2 of these don't count. But they don't count in such a way that they can't be big. I don't really understand how to do them. So if you Sorry, I realise I've just stopped talking. This sometimes happens when I don't quite understand what my brain is telling me to do here, and I'm trying to my brain isn't quick enough that I can get to the answer and then articulate it, so I'm still thinking about it, and that's very frustrating probably for you guys watching this, and it's very frustrating for me because I'm conscious that I can't quite grasp what I'm trying to think through here. It's just my sense, and it's just a sense that those digits are awfully low, just as a set, because they add up to 9 plus 9 plus 8, which is 26, in theory. So there's 26 worths of digits there, but there's some non-counting digits as well. But the non-counting digits can't be massive, because we've said that we've got all, you could have a 4 in one of the non-counting digits, but you can't have anything bigger than that. Yeah, maybe that's one way to think about it. If we did minimize, I know we can't, but if we did minimize all the non-counting digits in this set of digits, what would that mean? We'd have a 1, 2 here, we'd have a 1, 2 non-counting here, and we'd have a 1, 2 non-counting here. Those would add up to 9, which means we'd have actual digits in this collection that added up to 17, because we'd lop, but one of these 9s would effectively disappear, wouldn't it? But how could that ever be true? Because even if I add 8 and 9, 8 and 9 plus 17 is 34. And whatever I add to that in there as being the non-counting digits, I never get to 45 again. That doesn't feel possible. In fact, it feels so wrong that I'm now thinking I've really misunderstood the point of this. I mean, that is so wrong. So how do I get a grip on this then? What is the way to think about this? I think there is some problem . How can I think about this clearly? The minimum value of these squares is 1, 2, and 3. The minimum value of these squares is 1, 2. So the absolute minimum value of all of those squares, all of those 14 squares, is 45 by the secret, 48 if that's 1, 2, 48, 54 if we add another 6 to that there. So that is the minimum value of all of these cells, 54. Now, if I max out the value of these two squares with an 8, 9 pair, let's just put 8 and 9 in. We don't know the order, but let's just put 8 and 9 in there just so I can think about this a bit more clearly. Then that's going to give me the absolute best case, isn't it, for making these add up to enough? Because if I make these add up to lower, I've got to make the non-counting digits even bigger here to achieve my minimum 54 total. So these squares have to add up. So we've got, what was it, 54 minus 17 is 37. So I need these squares to add up to at least 37, really. I mean, counting them all. But I know there are counting squares here that only add up to 26. So the cells in this collection of digits that don't count, that are islands, must add up to at least 11. And that they add up to 11 or more, because if I reduce these at all, they have to add up to 12. So right, so the islands, well, that's it. That's used the degrees of freedom up. God, wow, why did that take me such a long time? That's done it. Right, because what we've now proved, well, we've proved loads of things, actually. This is absolutely massive for the puzzle. So what we're proving here is that it isn't possible to make these digits, this collection of 14 digits, sum to enough unless your non-counting digits in this section add up to at least 11. But if they add up to at least 11, that has used the 2 degrees of freedom on the island. And let me explain why that is. That's because in this box, we know that these 2 squares have our island cells, so the minimum would be of 1, 2 pair. We know in this box, the minimum, we know there are 2 islands here, the minimum would be a 1, 2 pair. And in this box, we know the 2 island squares are in these 14 squares, and their minimum was a 1, 2 pair. So the minimum, in theory, was 9, but we have worked out that we need 11, so 2 degrees of freedom are used here, but that is the 2 degrees of freedom for the whole grid when we did the exercise on the whole grid, where we got whatever it was, 29 versus 27. So we know that this consumes all of the degrees of freedom, and we also know that the only way we can achieve an 11 total here in the non-counting cells is with a very, very precise arrangement of digits. Because if we increased anything, if we increase this total of 14, these 14 digits to add up to more than 54, sorry, 54 including those 2, if these add up to more than 54, we just cannot do it, because our island cells are going to have to be too big. They're going to add up to more than 11, and that's not possible because of the whole grid's structure, the whole grid's constraint. And if these weren't an 8-9 pair, it wouldn't work. So we've got to have an 8-9 pair here. So this is now not an 8-9 pair. We have got to have a 1, 2, 3 triple here. We've got to have a 1, 2 pair here. Now, okay, so we know that. Oh, hang on. What's gone? Something's gone wrong there. That is an 8-9 pair. That's not 8-9. That's something else. That's 6 or 7. Now, the frustrating thing here is that I still don't know how well, although I know this is a 1, 2 pair non-counting, I don't think we know, I might be wrong about this, we might now be able to conclude and tell, but I don't think we know how the degrees of freedom are used up between these cells and these cells. But we know other things, don't we? We know because the degrees of freedom in the islands are entirely used up within this collection of cells, and now it actually is. It's actually within those cells, because this isn't using them at all. Everything else is minimumed. So this has got to be a 1, 2 pair. This has got to be a 1, 2 pair. This has got to be, you've guessed it, a 1, 2 pair, nori nori. These are all 1, 2 pairs. Everything is a 1, 2 pair, except whatever goes on over here. Okay, well that's going to be, this is a, hang on, so that's not a 2 anymore. So this is a 4, 5 pair by SUDOKU. So what are these digits? These are from 3, 4, 5, look. There's definitely a 3. Now there isn't an 8 in my 10 cage, look. So that means this is an 8-9 pair. We've restored the logic we found earlier, but I think this time we've earned it properly. Okay, These squares, look, are 3, 4 and 6. Ah! Ah! That's not true. I was like looking at this thinking, I've discovered something about the world. But no, I haven't. I don't think. No, I haven't. Well, I do now know there's a 3 in here. Does that alter things? And there's a 3 and a 4 in here. I don't think it does. There's a 3 and a 4 and a 5 or a 6. But I don't know which. And that's annoying. Yeah, no, I don't know. Right, okay. So what else do we know about the world now? We know that the 2 digits that add up to 10 down here are not 18 or 2. Sorry, 18. They're not 19 or 28. So they are 37 or 46. These have the same property. They are 37 or 46. Oh, it's almost looking interesting in that column. 7. Oh, 7 is not there, so that's not 3. I've got a horrible feeling. I know where this is going. This is going to mean we have to think about this. Oh, hang on. What about the X? I've not thought about that at all. So that's not a 3 anymore. Is that important? The answer is no. Oh, hang on. I did know that there was 1 degree of freedom used in green at least. So I can't have a 2 and a 3 non-counting here. So the 1 is an island up here. Sorry, I'm not quite seeing this yet. I don't think we're miles away from solving it, but we might be quite a long way away. Oh, here's something interesting. Oh, actually, here's something really cool. I should have said. Has this been available for a while? No, actually it's not. It's only just become available. Where do 1 and 2 go in this box? Well, not here because of Sudoku and column 2, and not repeating in a cage. So that is a 1-2 pair, which means this is a 3 by Sudoku, which means this is not a 3. But do we know what this means for the world? Do I know if this was a 6? That would be a counting 6. You see, could they both count? No, they can't both count, can they? Sorry, they can't both be islands. I was suddenly thinking, could this be a 6-1-2 triple? But no, I do know there are 2 islands here, so I can't do a 6-1-2 triple. So this 3 is non-counting. Oh, this is passive if this is true. Hang on. Oh, no, hang on. I think I'm wrong as well. If these were both... These can't both be counting. So at least one of them is non-counting. If this was counting... No, this can't count. Hang on. Oh no, I think I'm to keep doing this the wrong way round in my brain. If this counts, both of those don't count. This is a 3-6 pair. That's okay actually, isn't it? And I can now see there's a deadly pattern here that's going to be resolved. I think this X is here to resolve this 1-2 deadly pattern, which might not otherwise be resolved. No, but hang on. If this is 1-2... No, that's okay, isn't it? Because I can use up all my degrees of freedom within the 6-cell sequence here. Ah, here's a small point. You can't have a counting Yeah, this 8 cage can't be 3, 5 counting. Because if it is 3, 5 counting, you can't fill the 9 cage with anything. Because it couldn't be 1, 8, 2, 7, 3, 6 or 4, 5. So this cage has a counting 1 or a counting 2 in it. Which means there is a... So one of these squares is a 6 or a 7 to accompany the counting 1 or the counting 2. Now, if that's the case, there's a 6, 7 pair in this box that's floating between these 3 squares. And that means this 9 cage now can't be... Well, it means you can't put 4 and 5 in this domino, can you? Clearly, there must be one of them in here, and these are both... Ah, yeah, this is something I hadn't thought of. These are both counting. Because I can't put 9 here with a non-counting digit anymore. Because 9 is definitely up there by the maths of this box. So these two are both counting, and that's right, that changes their colour. So there are 2 non-counting digits in here. This has to be 4, 5, because at least one of these digits is a 4 or a 5. And now 3, so this is from 3, 6 and 7. But we still don't know, I think, know which. But we do know that, we now know the 3 here is non-counting, don't we? Because we need the 5 over here. So this has got a non-counting 3 in it. I'm still not seeing it. I think we're on the right lines. Okay, but 3 has to go here in box 7 now, because there's definitely a 3 in there. Do we do better than that? Probably. I'm not sure though. I'm still not quite sure how I'm meant to grapple with allocating the islands to this. I know there's a non-counting 3, and it could be there's a non-counting 2, which would mean this contained a 1, 7 pair. This would be a 6 counting. If that's a counting 6, how do we get to 9? That would have to be a counting 3. This would be a non-counting 1, 2. Yeah, and we'd have used the degrees of freedom here by having a non-counting 2 and a non-counting 3. And that would work. Oh no, hang on. No, I see. No, it's easier than that. It's much easier than that. All I have to do is note that one of these cells is non-counting now, because it's a 3 that must not count. And that means this square is not capable of also being non-counting, because that would put 3 islands in the column. So that's counting, which means these are the 2 non-counting cells. And that, if these are the 2 non-counting cells, this can't be a 6. Is it that simple? I think it is. That feels right, doesn't it? As soon as we end up, we knew we needed to use up a degree of freedom here. Yes, so the cleanest way of putting this, and what I didn't appreciate at the time, but let me explain it now. The moment I got that this was a 1-2 pair, I could have done this. Because what I should have said is, but with our original green cells, we knew we were using up degrees of freedom here, so these couldn't be the 2 island cells. Which means we need another island cell in those. We could have used the trick with the 9s to note this has to both count. That puts a non-counting island here, which makes this blue and C, which forces these to both be orange. And once these are orange and we get the 3 here, we know that down here we can't use up 2 degrees of freedom because we've gone away from the minimum here. So this has to be 1, this has to be 2, this has to be 8, this has to be 9. This has to be a 3-1 islands, which means it's a 2-6 counting, which means, well, I mean, we can see everything's starting to roll now. This has got to be the 7, and in fact it had to be the 7 to go with the 2. Now, what we don't know is how the islands dispose, but we might be able to work that out in a minute. This 1 and 2 are going to get resolved. Oh. Okay. Still can't quite see how to do that, but I think this is good now. Come on, Simon. You're nearly there, I think. What a puzzle, by the way. 1 hour and 20... I mean, I might be... Maybe I get it done in about 1 hour and a half, assuming there's not another sting in the tail. But that is very, very... Ah. Look, that's a 3. Where do you put 3 in this box? It can't... Oh, no, it can repeat in its cage. Oh, no. Bots. Okay. That's annoying. What about... what about... I don't know. We can't... Okay, we can't repeat an 8 and a 9 in this cage, because that cage is not bigger than 9 cells. So 8 and 9... They can't both go in the top row, can they? Or that square would be broken. So that square is an 8 or a 9. But we don't know which. There's an 8 or a 9 in one of these. Can we do that? 3 has to be in one of these 3 cells. That I can see. How are all these 1s and 2s getting resolved? Oh, okay, look, we've got 9 and 7 we can do here. 7 is in one of those cells. Maybe it is Sudoku. Maybe that's what... Yeah, okay, because look, 8 now is in one of those squares, so that is a 9, and that's going to do the 9s and the 8s over here. Which I think means this is an 8 by Sudoku, which is something. Doesn't do my 8 and my 9 over there. Oh, hang on. One other thought I've just had is, can I now... Do I now know? No, I don't, do I? I was wondering if I could go back to the original logic around the 170. But actually, everything's been minimumed now. So this could be 8 with a maxed out 6, 7, 8, 9 there, or it could be 9 with a 5, 7, 8, 9 there. How strange. That's peculiar. I have a feeling that I ought to understand that better now as well, but I don't. This isn't 7, I'm noticing. So this is 5 or 6. Is there some more mathematics I need to do somewhere? Possibly. Like, do I need a 7 in this cage here? At the moment I've got 17 in it. So I need another, I need these squares to add up to 15. So they could be 6, 4, 5. I can't repeat the 4 though, can you? So if this was 7, this would be 3, and that doesn't work. Yeah, okay, this is not 7. I don't know if there's an easier way to see this, but these squares do add up to 15, those 3 I've just highlighted. Now, they can't use 8 and 9. So, if this is a 7, these 2 squares add up to 8. But we can't double 4 it. This is not a cage big enough to have a repeated digit. And if that's 5, that's 3. So this is not 7. which puts 7 here. Now there must be a 6 in here, or we can't get to a high enough total. That 6 goes there. And this is a 4 or 5. Ah, look at that, doesn't work. So that's a 4 or 5. I mean, it works, but it doesn't resolve. 6 goes in the corner. No song for that. Oh, there we go. That's done it. When I say done it, I mean in the loosest sense. There's loads of things suddenly going on, actually. Because this is a 4 or 5 in the corner, but this 6 is big. Because that 6 takes 6 out of these squares, which means that this foursome cannot now add up to 6, 7, 8, 9, which was one of our original constraints. So it does add up to 5, 7, 8, 9, and now we know the only way of getting to 170 is if we max out everything else. So we've got to go 9, 8, that's a 9 because it's repeating this digit. That seems to be a 5, naked single. This is a 7, 8 pair. That 9's doing work. 9, 8, 8, 7 all go into the grid. This isn't 7, so this isn't 3. What have we got? We've got 3, 4 and 6 along here. Ah, no, oh no, I don't want to do that. 3, 4 and 6 along here. Is 3, 4 and 6 the toe 13? Yes, we need 3, 4 and 6 here, obviously, by maths. Oh, beautiful. What a beautiful idea this is. Look, if this is a 4, 6 pair, both of those squares become 3 now, so this must be a 3, 7 pair. Gosh, that's lovely. So that puts 3 in the row here, gives me a 4, 6 pair here, resolves a 5, a 4, puts 4 there by Sudoku, I think. This becomes a 3, 5 pair. That 3, 5 pair is resolved. Wow, 3, 5. These squares are all... Okay, so this is a 6, 8, 9 triple at the bottom of the grid. That knocks 6 out of the 10 cage. So that's got to be a 7, 3 cage, and we apparently know the order of that, which tells us we know the order of this, the order of this. That's a 4 by Sudoku, that's a 5 by Sudoku. This square is a something, aka a 5. 5, 4, 4, 6, come on, 6, 3. This is going to be... Yes, okay, and that is going to resolve some 1s and 2s. I'll come back to that in a moment, though, because I'm on a bit of a roll with Sudoku. 3, 4, and 7. Not a phrase you get me saying often. 7, 3, 4. What's going on down here? We've got a 3 or a 4 there, which is resolved. 3, 4, 7, 3. This is not 9. Not 9. Okay, now what's going on down here? We need 7, 8, and 9. 7 must go there. 9, 8, 6, 9, 8. Okay, so these squares are going to... Oh, they're a 4, 5, 6 triple. Let's put it in properly then. That's 6. 4, 5 pair. There's a 4, 5 pair in this row. So that square seems to have to be a 6, I think. Okay, so that's 6, that's 8, and that's some. This is 4 or 5, but the 4 at the top does the business, which does the business. Now, let's just pause and have a quick look at this. Is that resolved? No. How weird is this? So it is all about the allocation of islands in this green little thing. Now, we've worked out a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away that the 3 need to not count here, so that's an island, and that gives us 2 islands in this row, so that's counting, and we know the 6 is counting, so this is a 2, and this is a 1 island, and if that's a 1 island and this is a 2, that's going to do some things. So that's 2, that's 1, that's 1, that's 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, finished, I think. What a puzzle that is. Oh, gosh, it's right. Thank you. What a puzzle. 53 people have solved that. That's really impressive. That feels... I mean, it's a fascinatingly clever puzzle, let alone as a debut. But it really is challenging. At least it was for me. I'm no longer quite as embarrassed that I didn't spot the sort of global constraint early. I focused a bit on this 170 cage because the global constraint was almost confusing. you know, realizing there were 2 degrees of freedom on that, but only 1 degree of freedom on the 170 cage. And I've no idea how you're meant to. I mean, in the end, I could conceptualize this arrangement, but that was very difficult. It was just a sort of sixth sense that I couldn't see how having all of these cages could add up to enough, you know, enough digits in that collection of the grid. Given once we knew that the digits we were going to negate, the island cells, were all quite little. Yeah, so what a brilliant puzzle. It's a slightly terrifying puzzle as well, because it clearly comes from the mind of a creative madman. And yeah, SamuPiano, I look forward with trepidation to your next map. Thank you so much for watching and spending your Sunday evening with me. I hope that was a little bit interesting at least, and I think we got it done, hopefully logically in the end. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Kraken the Cryptic.